Hi there and welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm IceMan and today we're going to do a different video than I've done before. We are going to round up my top 15 champions that changed my account in the 8 to 9 months that I've been playing. So let's dive into it, shall we? I will say that some of these champions are very pay to win, some are very free to play friendly, and I basically I'm going to cover champions I've used all through my career up until now. In all honesty, there are 15. However, there's going to be one or two honourable mentions probably. But anyway, let's dive into it, shall we? So we're going to start off with the first champion that's made the biggest change to my account, and an absolutely huge change to my account really early on was Valkyrie. Valkyrie and Septimus, to be fair, in tandem in a way. I pulled these two on one of the earliest 10x's that we had, where you had a 10x chance to summon Valkyrie, and I only had about 15 or 20 shards to pull, not many, and on a 10 pull I was lucky to pull both Septimus and Valkyrie in the same 10 pull. And boy, did they change my account. Obviously, at this stage, I'd been playing for maybe a month and a half. I was grinding away, trying to get champions up. I was using people like Kale and some other low-end characters. I only had a couple of 60s probably at that point. Not a whole great many of them. And, you know, I was still fairly early on. I was maybe farming Nightmare, like Brutal in stages, 12-3, that sort of thing, just about, but not for long. And along come these two champions. I was struggling on Clan Boss, so yeah, I was probably doing easy or normal at that stage, maybe normal. I don't think I was even into hard yet. And pulling these two champions was a complete game changer for me. I think around the same time I also managed to pull Padma. This was around the sort of time as around this sort of same time I managed to get champions like Whirling Frost King from the Battle Pass Season 1. I'm not sure when Season 2 came out. I must have blinked and missed it because I've really just not seen it. Anyway, that aside, we all know it should have come. We all liked it. It was a brilliant thing that they brought out. You know, it helped a lot of free-to-play players. Obviously I paid, hence why I got some of the paid champions. You actually got one of the best epics in the game through this, Stag Knight, and I was no exception. I got Stag Knight and Frozen Banshee out of that, and it was absolutely amazing getting those two champions. Around the same time I managed to pull Padma. So this ended up being my first real Clan Boss team, as I would call it. And it stayed this way for right up until Nightmare Clan Boss, with Valkyrie, Septimus, Mausoleum Mage, who is another brilliant champion, Padma, and Frozen Banshee. A couple of times I think I tried subbing out Mausoleum Mage for Stag Knight, sort of see what difference that would make. Tried a few little different things like that, but pretty much right the way through from normal right the way up until Nightmare, I was basically using this same team and just increasing gear, getting the speed tunes better, and they were an absolutely brilliant team. Obviously Valkyrie really carried this team. Septimus does a fair amount of damage, plus obviously, although he's not great at extending, he's no Vizier, which is a bit of a shame. You've got Vizier on one level, who does it so amazingly, and all the others, although they do it a bit, they don't seem to do it as much, and that's one thing I wish they would change, is obviously you don't want, well, I mean, what it should be is, you know, the rare increase debuff length champion, or champions if there's more than one. I know there's certainly one, although the dwarf who is, I can't remember his name right this second. I don't actually use him on my main account. I do on my alt account, I believe. You know, his chance to increase should be lower. If there's any champions that do the same sort of thing, although I can't think of any off the top of my head, who are epic, their chance should be a bit higher. And then all the legendaries, their chance should be more or less on par, maybe a little bit different, but not a lot, just a little bit different. And I think that would bring a lot more utility for them, for the clan boss, and make them all a bit more even. Off the top of my head, you know, you've got Septimus, you've got Warlord. Both of these can do it, but they don't do it anywhere near as good as Vizier. Even if you brought them up to sort of 3/4 of what Vizier can do, so that he's still the best at it, it would give them a lot more utility for that sort of area, but allow you to use these other champions quite well for it as well. But at the moment, they're so bad at it compared to him that, let's face it, if you ever pull him, you're automatically just going to use him for that. And to be fair, you may well do that anyway, even if they were better, but at least it would give you a lot more utility and chance to run the same sort of teams you can run with him, but they bring other stuff to the table. Anyway, let's carry on. So, yeah, these champions, obviously, they formed my core clan boss team, and in all honesty, they mainly formed my main dungeon team as well in the early stages. Fairly early on, I managed to pull another legendary, Suzerain Caton, and I couldn't really find out much about this guy. He was back then, he was very much a dark horse. Nobody talked about him. Nobody wanted to use him. But he looked like he had a decent kit to me. I couldn't quite figure it out. Obviously, some people have shown since that he can be quite good at stripping shields and can be used right in the arena if you know how to build him. But very much like a few other champions in the game, but not many, every one of his attacks is an AoE, which is great, absolutely brilliant. It gives you a lot of utility. So, and he's an attack-based champion. He brings increased defense or weaken. It's a shame he doesn't do both. If he did, he would be such a much better champion. And it's a buff that he could really do with, to be honest, to sort of bring him on par to so many other champions and make him that little bit more usable. But for me, I didn't use him much in the arena. I never really quite got him working right there. I tried, but I found him too squishy. I died too often. He wouldn't quite do enough damage for what I wanted. But he ended up becoming my campaign farmer, and still is today. And although he's not the fastest, and I do have a couple of champions that might be able to build to do it faster, he still does it in a respectable sort of 10 or 11 seconds. So I don't feel the need to waste the silver, the time and the effort building up, say, a Fellhound just to shave a few seconds off of my farming. I could do, but I don't see the need. He does the job. He's already got the gear. It gives him a use that otherwise I might not have for him. But he is a really cool champion for that. Fairly early on, I also pulled Sinesha. I've now got like 2 of her, but you know. And Umbral Enchantress, I was fairly happy to get fairly early on as well. So my main arena team from a fairly early stage, I tried running things like Stag Knight. Where is she? She's gone out of my head. I can't think of what I'm talking about now. Not Fellhound. Here we go. Haikatoon. You know, I'd run her for my speed lead. Never got her above 50. And I tried running Stag Knight. And then I tried running somebody like Sinesha or Suzerain. That sort, and Valkyrie. And I always put Valkyrie in just to give me that survivability. And obviously the benefit you get from the counter attack. Then I started moving away from that because I kept losing these speed runs anyway with her, so I didn't see the point of having her in there. She's a good champion, and if I'd leveled her up higher, got her accuracy up higher, and geared her better, she would have actually probably done a very decent job for me. She is a great champion, don't get me wrong. But I kind of moved away from the speed meta and started trying to run champs that are a bit different. So for a while, my arena team was, say, Umbral Enchantress, Padma, Stag Knight, and Valkyrie. You know, I'd use a team like that, or something similar, or even Mausoleum Mage, and Valkyrie, and Umbral, and Padma. And I quite like that sort of synergy of champions, and using these defensive-based champions to try and win. And it was doing fairly well for me. I mean, back when Arena was normal, before it got weirdly hard, all of a sudden, and long before the stage we're at now, where it's silly, kind of easy, and they've nerfed it to hell to try and allow people to do it, which makes sense to a degree. I don't know what entirely happened. Obviously, the arena was hard enough. It was just about right. It was a struggle. I managed to get into Gold 1 on my main account. I didn't quite have the champs on my alternate account, so that account was sitting in silver. With my main, I could farm Gold 4. It was tough, but I'd manage it, and, you know, I really had to sort of pick my fights and stuff. And then all of a sudden, the arena just got mental, really hard. All of a sudden, I was dropping each week, and went down to about silver 1 on that team in the end, I think. And that's using the same sort of team. And I was always increasing gear and making it slightly better and stuff, and I was still struggling like hell. So something did really go wrong and change and make it so much harder. So they needed to do something, but whether or not they've done the right thing, only time will tell. So we'll carry on down the list. But that was my sort of arena team. This was my sort of clan boss / every dungeon out there team. And I sort of mixed these champions in. They were the best ones I had. Then I got a champion that we all know and love, and many of us want if we don't have it, and I'm in the same boat on my alternate account, and that's Coldheart, and she is absolutely amazing. Just amazing for dungeon content. I mean, to a degree, if you get her early, you can use her in the arena and stuff as well, but in dungeons, she is a beast, you know. She basically allowed me to do Spider with another couple of champions, and she allowed me to do Fire Knight. Without Coldheart, I never would have managed to do level 20 dungeons, I don't think, or certainly not yet anyway. She made such a difference, and for a rare, she's just so amazing. The only thing better than one Coldheart is 2 Coldhearts, which I do have, and I am building up a second one. I'm just being a bit of a dilly-dally with it and working on other champions as well, and obviously there's so many champions to work on now, with Faction Wars being more enthusiastic that we all want to run it because we all want to get Lydia. So that suddenly gives you an awful lot more champions to work on and try and build, which, let's face it, isn't easy. So that's my sort of early to mid game account with those champions that I've mentioned. Then I started getting lucky. You know, I've started getting up to the point where I'm farming 16, 17 in dungeons. I'm in Gold 4, or starting to drop back down, I think, at that point, because of the issues we discussed for Arena. And then I pulled Hegemon. Now, Hegemon was an absolute game changer for me for the Arena. To be fair, the Arena's the only place I ever really use him. I'm sure he maybe does well in other areas, but in all honesty, I only ever really use him in the Arena. But he made such a difference, especially since I didn't have a really great speed lead. At this stage, High Katoon was still my fastest speed lead until I finally got Arbiter. And I finally then pulled a couple of Gorgorabs, but never ended up getting them built up because I pulled Arbiter not long after I got those. I'd never had a speed champ, so I always had to do the slow mechanic. And Hegemon changed everything for me because he allowed me to go first, lock people out, and gave me even more of a chance to actually progress and win and keep up in the arena, where speed meta was such a big thing, and if you didn't have the speed, you were kind of stuffed. So he's just so amazing and absolutely brilliant champion. Then, now this one's a free one, a login reward that we all get, so we all know how amazing she is, all those who have already got her. And if you haven't got to look forward to getting her, because she is a game changer, absolute game changer. Syl of the Drakes. Now, without Syl of the Drakes, I will not have done Faction Wars 21 on 3 stars. There's just no chance I would have done it. She has helped me probably, I'd say she's the main reason that I first managed to do regularly and successfully Dragons 20. I think I was maybe even using her in Fire Knight 20. I was using her at times in the Spider. She quite often was in my arena team once I got her. Not always. And now not so much, because I use Arbiter instead, who gives me the speed and the reses, the whole team, rather than a single res. But with her stuns and everything that she does, she is such an amazing champ, and she was so clutch all over the place. So rather than just leaving me talking and whatnot, let's bring her up and you can see what she is, what she's got. Obviously, if we take a quick look at her skills, she's got Drake Swiftness. Attacks one enemy, has a 20% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Also has a 30% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%. Absolutely amazing champion. Can't say enough good things about her. It's great that you get her for free, and she is a real game changer, especially if you've not managed to pull a revive champion at that point, which I hadn't really. So, you know, she is just such a game changer. We'll go back to having a look at her skills anyway, now that I've gone and done that. So Drake Swiftness, attacks one enemy, has a 20% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Also has a 30% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%. This debuff chance obviously can be booked up to, by another 20%. So that's a 40% chance and a 50% chance on the turn meter. So this is absolutely brilliant for the arena. Obviously you're going to slow the enemy team, decrease their turn meter, that's great. It's great in dungeons. Doesn't affect at all for clan boss, but she could probably help you in the clan boss if you needed her for the reses and whatnot, and what she can bring to the team. She's got Wing Beat Flurry, attacks all enemies 2 times. Each hit has a 20% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. This is an absolutely brilliant ability, particularly in dungeons. Obviously it helps you with the waves, stuns everybody up. Again, really helps in the arena. Stuns everybody up, gives you a chance to keep in the fight. Takes 5 books, the cooldown can come down to 3, and the debuff chance goes up by 15. So that's still a 35% chance on the each hit. So that's more like a 70% chance, really. So that's great. The fact that it attacks all enemies 2 times, it does a reasonable amount of damage. It's not hugely high. The multipliers on her aren't that good, but she's just such a clutch, brilliant champion. Then obviously we've got her revive ability. Phoenix Wright revives an ally with 50% HP and places a 50% ally protection buff on them for 2 turns. This can be brought down from 6 to 4 turns. Again, absolutely amazing, a complete game changer. Boundless Life, her passive, heals all allies by 10% of their max HP at the start of each turn. Also places a 30% increased speed buff on a random ally for 2 turns. She's so amazing anyway, don't get me wrong. It would be nice if it was off of her max HP and you could build her out for HP. Or at least if you got the increased speed buff on everybody. But this is really nitpicking. She is such an amazing champion. She doesn't really need a buff. But it certainly would be nice, since everybody gets to the free, if she was that little bit better than she is, but only by a small amount. The next big game changer for me was Razin Scarhide. I finally managed to do the fusion on him. It took me, I think, about 4 months. 4 or 5 months. Something like that. In the end, I was literally waiting about 3 months for one champion, Preserver. And as everybody who's played this game for a while will know, if there's one particular champion you really want or need, you'll wait and wait and wait to get them. And then once you do get them, chances are you'll see them 20, 30 times over the next month or two. And you'll keep pulling them. It's really weird the way the game seems to work that way. But absolutely amazing champion. Defensive based. He can remove buffs. He gets used in my arena defense a lot. He gets used in my arena team sometimes. He gets used in 3v3 arena. He's a big part of my, I believe, Spiders 20 team. He's also in my Finite 20 team. He's just an all-around brilliant champion. This Bone Sword is a free hitter. He's also one of my main clan boss champs these days a lot of the time. Ever since I went unkillable, which was a while back now, I was using a certain unkillable setup. There's a slow double man eater. If any of you see my recent video on it, you know. I was using him originally, and I still do. I swap him in depending on the affinity boss. Otherwise, I'm using Fane instead, because she brings the poisons too. But this is brilliant for the arena. It's brilliant for the Fire Knight. It's brilliant all over. It hits hard. Then he's got this shear, which attacks one enemy. It's a shame that it's one enemy only. It would be really nice if it was an AoE one. It would make him usable absolutely everywhere, in just about every dungeon you can name. Rather than just say for just bosses or just for clan boss, he would just be brilliant absolutely everywhere. He would be even more meta for the arena. And considering there are champs like Madame Ceres who do abilities like this, and there are other champions who do decrease defense and weaken, Dracomorph, Venus, it would be nice if it was AoE. It's not the end of the world that it's not, but it would be really nice if it was. On the clan boss, obviously, it's not an issue. You're only facing one boss, so this comes in. It hits, again, nice and hard. It puts your decreased defense up. It puts your weaken up. Allows you to do a lot more damage. It can be booked down to 3 turns, which is great. Then he's got this A3, bogged down, attacks all enemies, decreases the turn meter by 100%. Absolutely useless in the clan boss. However, it is absolute, and it only books down to 6 turns, so it's on quite a long cooldown. But it's still a really nice ability to use on the Fire Knight. And also in the arena, it's great. You lead off with this, just rip off everybody's turn meter by 100%. Gives you a chance to go again. It's why a lot of people do use him in the arena. And then we've got a couple of epics that I wouldn't say I pulled late on, but again, sort of more through the middle of my career, probably in the last few months. Allure I might have had a little bit like, so we've got Allure and Miscreated Monster. So Allure, really cool champ. She doesn't have too many uses everywhere, I would say. It's a shame. She could be better in a way. She's got this brilliant A1, attacks 3 times at random, decreases the target's turn meter by 25% on each critical hit. So obviously you build her out for crit and do that. She's an amazing champion for the Fire Knight. She can single-handedly keep his turn meter down and allow you to do your work once you've got the shield down. So that's absolutely amazing. If this was an AoE and did the same thing, she would be an absolute top-tier champion for the Spider as well. As is, she can sort of be used for the Spider, but not really, because the problem is, with it being 3 hits at random, she could just hit 3 Spiderlings and then you're not getting any utility out of her. She's got this ignores defense hit, doesn't really do much. She's got a decreased defense and sleep. Attacks all enemies 2 times. I think they kind of envisioned her almost being a Spider champ initially. And if they'd made this an AoE, it actually would have made her a really good Spider champ, because she put out the decreased defense herself, if need be. And she put sleep on a bunch of those spiders. And then also she can help keep the spiders' main turn meter down. Even if you drop the percentage of it landing or something, and gave it a % rather than it does it automatically on a critical hit, and made it AoE, that would still make her brilliant for the Fire Knight, but it'd also make her brilliant for the Spider. And let's face it, a lot of people struggle in the Spider because turn meter control is so important there. To be fair, that's the same point with the Fire Knight. If you're struggling in one, you're usually struggling in the other. Those two kind of go in tandem because turn meter control is so important there. And then, last but not least, certainly very not least, we've got Miscreated Monster. Again, I got him probably about 3 months ago in the 10x, I think it was, that we had to get him and Madame Ceres a few months back, and I finally managed to pull him, and I worked really hard to pull him, spent a bit of money, dirty pay to winner, what can I say? If you get him, he is just an amazing champion. He will make the Spider so much easier. He puts out these massive shields. I've done a guide on him. If you want to have a look, go through, jump on my channel, take a look at his video. I might even post a link at it to the bottom under this. And he is just a great champion. He will carry you through dungeons left, right, and centre. He will help you on just about any dungeon, really. He will help you in Spider immensely. And again, earlier on, certainly, he's an absolutely amazing arena champion. What with his AoE stun, attacks all enemies, has 50% chance of placing the stun for 1 turn. Places a big shield. You know, it's not as big in arena and stuff. He's then got this ally protect, which is great, with a continuous heal on himself. His passive puts fear on people who attack anybody under that ally protection. This guy is an absolute beast early on in the arena, if you get him. And for me, all of these champions, for the most part, I'd say the only one I don't still use on a daily basis is probably Padma. It's the only one I would say, because I've moved away from the decreased attack on clan boss. She's about the only one I don't really use anymore. I don't use her in dungeons for the most part. I don't use her in arena anymore. I don't use her for the clan boss. Faction Wars I use her. She's still very useful in Faction Wars. She's still a very, very good champion. But out of all of these 15 champions that I've said have been account changers, she's probably the only one that is no longer in use. Every other one of these is in use somewhere, be it 3v3 arena, be it dungeon runs still, be it main arena team, be it in the clan boss, you name it. They're all brilliant champions, and they really did make a huge change to my account. Each one at different stages, probably at the right stages for me in many respects as well. Now, I'd like to finish this video off with a couple of honourable mentions. I can't really do a video like this and talk about account changing champions without mentioning Maneater. He's only an epic, we all know that. We all know who he is, unless you're new to the game. In which case, this chap, although only an epic, basically allows you to do things that so many legendaries don't even do. He is great in the arena. He can be fairly useful in dungeons. He's good in faction wars. And he also allows you to do unkillable teams. There are ones where you can do it with just him and Painkeeper for the budget unkillable. I'm lucky enough that I actually managed to pull myself 2 Maneaters. So I'm doing the slow double Maneater. And he is just a great champion for that. And he's improved my game in the clan boss so much. Doing double Maneater unkillable team was what allowed me to move from Nightmare to Ultra Nightmare. And then more recently, I've managed to pull Fane and built Fane up. And she is a brilliant champion too, in her own right. Good for Fire Knight, not that I've actually tried her out there yet, but I've certainly heard she's good for Fire Knight. And you can see on her abilities with 2 hits and stuff like that, and decreased defense and the poisons, and decreased attack. She also brings the defense, the weaken as well as the decreased defense, so she's absolutely amazing. She's brilliant for the clan boss in an unkillable team. You can't use her in a normal team because she's too soft and squishy. It's one area where it would have been nicer if they'd made her a bit more tanky and usable for everybody there, because her 2 main uses that I see where she's brilliant for are Fire Knight and clan boss. And at the moment, she's only usable in clan boss in unkillable teams, which means she's not usable for everybody, which is a bit of a shame. But this amazing champion meant that my old clan boss team was bringing in an average, I would say, of 25 million a key. So I was comfortably free keying Ultra Nightmare on a daily basis. Bringing her into it, and then I've also swapped in Septimus again. He was out for a long time, but I'd still use him in dungeons and stuff like that. Bringing Septimus and her in actually upped my damage by nearly 10 million on average. She's that good of a champion, and she's not even really well geared on my account. You know, I've got in some savage gear, but it's not great savage gear. I've only got 1 6-star piece. It's her boots. I've had to build her quite defensively. I've kept the quick damage amulet on her, but I've had to go swap out and go for like a defensive chest rather than an attack chest. I've had to go for a defensive ring, and I've had to change around her masteries just to keep her alive long enough to use her for the clan boss. But definitely a well-worthy mention anyway. So anyway, these were the top 15 plus 3 honourable mentions, account changes for my account from beginning to end, or current I should say, rather than end, as I'm still enjoying the game thoroughly and will carry on playing for some time, I'd imagine. I hope you found the video informative. It gave you some ideas about champions you can use in different areas. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. Consider hitting that subscribe button for notifications of future content. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.